Welcome back to The Remote Life. My name is Han Talbot, also known as Han Meets World, and today we'll be chatting with Steve Tsentserensky. Originally from the US, Steve is a copywriter and contributor for CNBC and World Nomads, as well as founder and creative director of SPT Creative. In this episode, we talk about how Steve got into the digital nomad lifestyle, his favourite destinations, and some things to think about before going remote yourself. So grab a coffee, a tea, or something stronger, and let's get started. And we are live on The Remote Life. So Steve, hi, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Yeah, doing good. Can't complain, although it is raining here in London, so...
I feel like it's like par for the course, though, no? At least in my stereotypical view, that's par for the course. I don't know if that actually has been there, but I don't remember.
I know, don't want to give the stereotype of it, but I guess that's what it is.
I will say it does rain every single day in Medellin, where I am right now, like quite literally. I've been here for like 3 weeks almost.
Oh my gosh.
Literally every day. I mean, it's like a quick tropical sort of situation, like an hour or even less, and then it goes away. But yeah, it rains every day.
Everyone seems to be heading to Medellin at the moment. How is it?
I've enjoyed it. It's been like there's definitely a lot of digital nomad expat type folks here, like longer term travelers, as well as like the backpacking crowd here. It's really affordable, but it's good. Really easy to meet people, really welcoming, really good restaurants. Obviously, the coffee is great because it's Colombia. Not a ton of English speaking compared to like traveling in Europe.
Interesting.
As I found. Yeah. So if you know a bit of Spanish, it helps. I can tell a story about how I don't know Spanish and how it's created some challenges. If you want me to tell you those quickly.
Sure, go for it.
So the first day I was here, or second day, I went to a bar to just meet some people, grab a beer. And I try to be polite and ask, like, may I have a beer, please, but in Spanish. And I thought the way to do that politely was like, puedo hacer una cerveza?
Lol.
Which is not. I said that what that means is that I can make beer, basically.
Yeah.
And the bartender was like, what are you talking about? But this is all in Spanish. So I'm like, dude, I just want like quiero cerveza. I don't know. And he handed it to me, and then someone explained, like, yeah, no, it's puedo tener, but no one even says that anyways.
Yeah. Well, you know what? At least you were polite about it.
I tried really hard. And then I ended up getting like a really intense haircut with a facial mask and like the nose wax thing, but not because I wanted that. I just didn't know what he was asking me. So I just kept saying "sí." And so like I was really fresh and clean, but like was not prepared to have all that done.
That's oh my God, can you imagine? Like not speaking the language and all of a sudden this dude is like putting wax and stuff up your nose. Must have been.
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew I'd gone too far. Like the mask was unexpected, and he said a lot of things in Spanish. I could catch every like 10th word. So it was like blah 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 nariz, blah 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 blah. I'm like, I think that means nose. I can't be sure if I'm not going to really ask to repeat it because it doesn't even matter if he repeats it. I won't get it.
Yeah.
So I just said see, and I see this thing of wax come out. It gets plugged in and warmed up. I'm like, I know where this is. I think I know what's happening here. And and they did it twice. I didn't know that was a thing. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's been good though. I don't want to. That's been like the weird side of it for me, but it's been really really good. Really affordable to be here. Really fun, and just a really good vibe. I'd recommend it. I can see why so many people are coming.
Yeah, because I lived in Brazil about a decade ago, and I had a Colombian flatmate, and she was like, "Don't go to." Well, she said Bogota, I think, at the time. So like in my head, and like especially when like Narcos kicked off, I know there was a big kind of tourism like influx after that. But it's funny, like in my head, I don't even think about it, but because of her. But then there seems to be the sudden kind of like rush to go there, and then I'm seeing. So my accountability partner was there back in February. And she was just like showing me pictures of this like beautiful tropical scenery. Like I'm not saying that I had the stereotype from like 20, 30 years ago in my head, but it's just funny how like these places are just, you did?
Sure. Yeah, well, because I mean, like it's actually similar, and we'll end up talking about Croatia a little bit further into this conversation for sure. But it's similar to that mindset that I had, where all I knew of Croatia and Medellin, for example, is like what was on the news in the States in like the 90s and early 2000s. And then no one really in the media bothered to like update those stories pretty much. You know, it was just like terrible things are happening, there's drugs. And then in Croatia, terrible things are happening, there's war. And then you kind of just like the story just doesn't really get picked up, which is fine because they're ongoing stories and no one's going to cover that indefinitely. So I get it. But then you'll only find out when you come to a place that is like fully transformed in the way that this city has here. Complete total transformation. From my understanding, they don't like talking about that whole period. There's the Narcos thing didn't really help because people come for that now. There's like those types of tours. Like when I went on the tour, they won't even say his name. They called him Voldemort, and I won't even say it now, just to be respectful of their wishes to not talk about it.
He must not be named.
He that must not be named, exactly. Yeah. So it's been interesting. Definitely, I think a place that like it's worth coming to.
Yeah.
Not exactly my type of city because I like smaller places and just has 2.6 million people, but still really good to change the pace and change the scenery and get a different cultural feel.
Yeah, so how about, just for like, as much as I want to get into like all the different destinations, how about we take a quick step back and you just kind of connect the dots for us and like kind of what you've been doing, kind of how you got to where you're at now.
Absolutely. So travels are like been just like a formative thing in my life forever. My parents were always keen on traveling when I was growing up. It would be like road trips down the east coast of the US, going to Disney World, going on like beach holidays or going on a cruise or whatever. So like I learned early, I was put in my brain early that if I had free time, I was required to spend it experiencing something new, being somewhere different. So that was always like kicking around in the back of my head. So once I finished university, I moved to Colorado, then I moved to New Zealand, and I was like a ski bum for a while. Then I went to work for cruise lines for a number of years, doing digital marketing, basically video type stuff and other marketing things. And then the pandemic hit, and that's actually where like the real digital nomad thing started. Because before I was in the travel industry or doing things that were travel related in that sense, but I wasn't 100% in control of that. So like with cruising, it was they give me an itinerary, I go. I knew I wanted to live a life and have a professional career that made it possible to be in control. And actually the pandemic, which obviously was terrible for the world, was a chance for me to reset and switch careers from what was a video production and photography career to a writing career that gave me full control of it changed how I worked completely. Actually, we could dip into that a little bit too in a bit, but that's where the real switch started. I started in 2019, the pandemic stopped it, and I reconfigured everything and fully and 100% remote as of 2020, ended it.
We can dip into it now if you want. Why don't you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, so it was, basically I was doing video and I realized I didn't really like it, as it turns out. I just kind of was going with the flow, and that's not a particularly great way to work, I realized. And I was doing a project by project, or I was doing like a cruise line thing where I'd be making marketing content for them. And I didn't feel like I had any, what would be the word, consistency to what I was doing. And so when I switched to writing, which is what I do now, it's like I'm a copywriter and just written content creation as opposed to video, I strove to completely change how I did client work. No more one-offs. I was trying to find long-term clients intentionally, be it, if it was ongoing content marketing with like blogs or, newsletters and things like that, anything that wasn't just a one-off. So I could create consistency, which I feel like you can then build a more chaos-free life, especially when you're traveling. And then you could just forecast better. Like I know what money is going to be coming in. I don't have to worry about these one-off projects ending and then having to like struggle. Lets you save better. A lot of those planning things fell into place when I shifted the structure of how I worked. And it made the digital nomad journey itself become a lot more fruitful because I could put energy into different things, like doing these types of conversations and, helping other people try and figure out how to do things as well.
Cool, nice. So what you mentioned about like being able to travel, but was there anything else kind of specifically that kind of drew you to digital nomading at all? And like, because I kind of go with remote life in a way. I don't know if you still call it digital nomading. Yeah, was there anything that kind of you're like, yes, this is for me. I know this sort of fills me up.
Yes, and I like that you went with the remote life thing, because I think we're at a place where it's like the digital nomad term itself is kind of like weird and not. It just I don't really like calling myself that. Anyways, it's on my Instagram. I think it's on my LinkedIn too. But like,
it's more palatable for sure right now. But I completely agree. I think whenever someone says like, "Oh, so you're a digital nomad," I kind of cringe now.
There's a negative. I don't know if there's a negative connotation, but there feels like there's not nearly as much of a positive as when I say something like I'm working remotely. That feels like there's more ownership over it for some reason. But what drew me to it, I should say, is I think the lifestyle and the work-life balance in the States, or the lack thereof, is kind of the draw. Having basically been taught from an early age, aside from fill time with travel as possible, but the other element of that is work for like 40 years and then enjoy the last 10 years of retirement when your body's giving up on you and all that.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Do I have to do that? If you're lucky, exactly. I'm like, does it have to be done that way? And so I thought working in the travel industry would give me the best of both worlds, and it kind of did for a while, but then you're just a cog in that wheel in a way. And I thought the digital nomad / remote work sort of life was something that was much more freeing, much more in line with the kinds of ways that I wanted to live and the things I wanted to experience and explore, whilst still being productive and doing interesting work and collaborating with interesting companies and things. I think it all gelled in a way that was really organic, and kind of fell into my lap in a way that was not a huge struggle to switch.
Yeah. So did you have clients before you made the leap, or? Not
really, because writing was not my job. Well, no, I mean, when I finally left New Jersey, I had established clients, but prior, I guess I conflated two questions. So I had no writing experience. I decided to answer a different question.
That's okay.
No, so to answer your question, yeah, by the time I left, this was December 2020, I had clients at that point. So I would not recommend anyone start this without clients.
Fair. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, it's just, your anxiety is going to go through the roof, and I don't know, I think you're going to end up taking projects that you don't like, and you're going to have it's a bad way to do it. I can't imagine, unless you have an insane amount of money just sitting in your bank account for no apparent reason, and you don't have to have any responsibilities, sure, go for it. But no, I was already stressed enough with the handful of clients I had when I left.
That makes total sense. So it's a question that comes up quite a bit for me. So if in your eyes, kind of how much time would you maybe say to somebody who was thinking about it, who's like, okay, I've maybe got a year this in me, or do I need to put maybe 6 months or something like that into it? What would you say would be the best lead up time?
Savings wise, in terms of how much money to save for, you mean?
As in so if someone says I want to do the remote life, how much time do I give myself to build up clients and stuff?
Yeah, I feel like you gotta give yourself 6 months feels like a good number. Because I mean, there's so much failure involved in it, and that's important to go through. That I think 1 month is far too short. I don't think you can really do much in 1 month. 3 months maybe, but I feel 6 months you can start to hit a stride, and start connecting some dots, have some small wins pile up on each other. But I started writing, for example, in or for money, I was writing before, but I started professionally writing in April of 2020. I didn't leave until December of 2020. I've been doing travel related work with video. And I had clients for that and things like that. And they're to a certain extent had clients. But yeah, it took me 8 months to feel comfortable leaving. To leave with nothing, 6 months I would have had to give myself at least, and I would have had to have a decent amount saved. I wouldn't have felt comfortable leaving without 6 months saved either.
No, that's fair. So speaking of leaving, obviously the reason we're both chatting and how we met is through lovely Tanya, who was, funnily enough, a guest on series 2. I feel like she's getting a really good amount of shout outs on this podcast. It's quite funny. She's awesome. She is amazing. And we were both on a panel together for back in Workplace Culture Conference, which happened, I think it was about a month ago now, nearly. That's wild.
It was early May. Right?
Yeah, and it's June this week. And essentially we were on a panel together about why eyes are on Croatia. So where has been your favourite destination to set up as a digital nomad?
Well, it's gonna be Croatia.
I thought it would.
Obviously. Yeah. I don't know. It's just, for me personally, it ticks so many boxes. I mentioned earlier that Medellin is a little bit too big for me, 2.6 million. The entire country of Croatia is 3.9 million. Zagreb, I think, is slightly less than 1 million people. So it doesn't feel overwhelming to me as a place, which is one part of it. Not a huge thing, but that helps. The country itself is so gorgeous. You've been there. I mean, the coast is part of it. A lot of it is that beauty. But then you have, a lot of beautiful stuff inland as well. And I love the city of Zagreb. There's something to do there constantly. It's still an underrated city. I feel like people tend to go in really quickly and leave really quickly to go to the coast and come back from the coast to fly out somewhere. But it's such a great city to be in. Really good vibe, walkable, great internet, public transportation is amazing. The whole country you can get to anywhere by bus in a handful of hours. Co-working's everywhere, great coffee, great culture, great people. I can pretty much go on about Croatia like endlessly, but it's just one of those places that has certain intangibles too, where you just have a good feeling. At least I did being there, and really welcomed, and people seem to, there's a good community vibe everywhere is what I felt as well.
Yeah, Croatia's such a funny country. Because I was there at the beginning of the year, and everyone was obviously very chill, very mellow. And then I came back, obviously, for Workplace Culture Conference, and it was kind of like the vibe that elevated somehow, like in the more of the peak season. So it kind of felt a bit like coming home for me. I was like, this is why I really liked it. And it was kind of like the feeling was just 10 times bigger, like this kind of community chilled vibe.
Oh, yeah. I think because you were there in May, and you were there for how much longer did you stay after?
I had to go to Kansas straight afterwards. So literally we went to Lockroom, then I had to fly back to London to then go to Kansas City for another conference. And I wish I'd stayed for longer this time.
That's like May and September are like the perfect months.
Yeah.
Because it's still like not a huge influx of people, but you get the really good like energy that's building for that summer season. But yeah, like everything that I did there was just, there's an excitement level to it for me, because a lot of it was new. I saw like 30 different little cities and towns around the country, all the way to Serbian border.
Yeah.
And there's so much to see and do in such a small place. You got world-class wine, obviously, really good food up in every part of the country, and it's an affordable place to be. Let's be honest. It's not like, unless you're basing yourself in Dubrovnik, which I guess you could. It's just the cost of living is not extraordinary for the lifestyle you get for that.
100%. I'm kind of already like, because you know that they're doing an Albania Digital Nomad Week in September. I'm kind of like,
yes.
Do I fit in a potential like cheeky trip to Croatia after that? Because I can imagine it must be so amazing in September as well. So
that is, anytime anyone asks me now, it's September is the key month to do that. Like May is great, but September you get the added benefit of the sea being warmer, and there's just a different vibe once the season ends. There's a relaxed, like, it's a relief. All the people are like chill from working a really like hectic season that are working in the tourism sector there. So it's just like it's a different sort of feel. Really good though. So yes, you should. And I think I might go to Albania for that actually.
Oh, well, maybe see you there. But
yeah.
One last thing on Croatia. If people had, so obviously I feel like Dubrovnik's kind of off the table because we all know it's gorgeous, dare I say it. But if people had one place they could go in Croatia and only one place, where should they go, Steve?
Man, that is hard. Because like I want to say Zagreb, but that's not the right answer, because like it depends on why you're going. Because like Rovin, for example, is a stunner. It's on the Adriatic all the way up to basically the flip side of the country from Dubrovnik. But if like what I always say is Dubrovnik is called the pearl of the Adriatic, that would be like the gem, because it's so special up there. It's completely different in a way, but still familiar. I want to say Rovin, but I really like Zagreb is the background of my phone, and I love Zagreb. So I know you asked for one place. I just gave you two. I think
Go for it.
We might have to live with it. We might have to just live with those two.
I feel like I just had a weird deja vu flashback to our panel where you did exactly the same thing.
Right, just like answered like
I want
answered
two.
The answer I wanted to give.
Amazing. Well, anyway, I'll give you three this time. If you can only take three things on the road with you, what would it be?
So I'll like, there's the obvious ones that I have to have, which is like work related stuff, notebook, laptop, like all those things.
Yeah. Anything that like
so skip those.
You have to have. Like we know that the laptop's going to be there. We know that the charger's going to be there. We know the video camera's going to be in there.
Yeah, I would say sunglasses.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's raining or not raining, like sunny, not sunny, cloudy, nighttime, daytime, I'll be wearing sunglasses. I don't know what it is. I need sunglasses. It's like a comfort thing. Headphones, must. And then to toss up, they're both exercise related. So either running shoes or like an elastic, like exercise band thing. So like there's a way to stay active. So I typically will have both. And let's just say running shoes. I go with running shoes.
You can have running shoes. Some people need them. Like, yeah, I feel like when you're doing nomading and remote life in general, there are just those like top things that you kind of can't not pack in your suitcase. And I feel like for me, I 100% always have like tennis shoes. It's just shoes that you can bung on that go with almost every outfit and are comfortable to walk in. Like I pretty much lived in my tennis shoes in Dubrovnik.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, you got Dubrovnik, you're walking everywhere, and you got the walls and all. Like, there's endless walking, in not just Dubrovnik, but like all over Croatia. I mean, I don't even know why I had another pair of shoes other than my tennis shoes all the time. But also from like a work mindset standpoint, like if I get frustrated with something work-wise, if I get stuck somewhere, I'll go for a run. Like and it'll like wipe my brain clear, like like Men in Black, that little like memory erasing red light thing. That's what like running shoes do for me. Being able to just get out there for, I don't know, even a half hour, doesn't matter. Reset, and I can come back and be productive again.
Yeah, completely. So that was tennis shoes, sunglasses, headphones. And are you a noise cancelling headphones kind of person, or is it the sports, like, so you can run with them?
Yeah, it's the latter.
Yeah.
But like the noise cancelling, I just bought new ones. I keep breaking them basically. Like apparently I need the most water resistant headphones. I need to basically be able to swim in headphones is what I realized, because it's gross, but I sweat like an obscene amount when I go running. And I've gone through so many that I just finally bought like I've been buying increasingly more expensive ones, which is really annoying because like it costs money to keep doing this, obviously. So I bought ones that have like the highest waterproof rating, and I think they're noise canceling too. So It's like it's all of it, and if these break, I'll be really upset.
Yeah, no.
Then shit, I'm screwed pretty much.
Nice. That's some good answers. I love asking people this because then you get some really like not always the same, but like some differing answers, and I feel like you kind of get to know the person just that much more in that way.
It's a good question. What's some like the weirder ones? Have you gotten like weird stuff?
Not weird stuff, but like we've had lip gloss in there. Like we've had I feel like hand sanitizer makes it in there. It's not all also like kind of very specific things, but I feel like when you ask somebody like, put laptop aside, put phone aside, because of course we all want that one in there, it's very interesting to see like kind of hear like what people can't go without. And then I
didn't realize like the sunglasses thing was like such a thing for me. Like my sunglasses are sitting next to me right now, and here it's like it rains. Since it rains every day, it's cloudy for some chunk of every day.
I know for me, the tennis shoes thing comes from working in London for X amount of years. You kind of get to the point, like I joke with people all the time, like it's a PR girl thing to wear nice outfits and then you have a pair of tennis shoes. Like it's just a thing. Like you're running around the city, sometimes going elsewhere. Like you gotta be comfortable.
I get that. I mean, I think digital nomad / remote life now in general, like I realized like a clothing aspect or a clothing angle, most of my clothes are like solid colors now, mostly in like the beige, gray, blue, like darker, like no big designs really anymore. I used to have like a lot of like much more colorful. Now it's just more simple, I guess. Like I've gone more minimalist by necessity, and I wanted to, but then I realized my clothing has sort of gone that route as well.
Nice.
Random bringing it up, but that's just something.
No, I feel like once you start nomading, you definitely, because obviously, like, for example, I think about the fact that, like, I went to Mexico City and I bought this bright red jacket that when I wore to, like, Montreal looks so out of place, but I love it. So it reminds me of Mexico City, it reminds me of my travels. And as you nomad, I feel like you gain a different sense of self from it. So, it sounds about right.
That's true. I have to think about the situations I'll wear certain things and like if it's worth getting, and usually it's not, and that's a nice way to like I don't want to have stuff. Like I'm not a big stuff guy. I think that's like pervasive amongst anyone that does remote work for any length of time. It's just like you realize you just don't need much, and then the more you have ends up being like a clutter, and you have to figure out how to deal with it. So when I am forced to like think of all these things that work perfectly in a much different way, I think about how I'm going to travel with it. You really realize what you would actually need and what is kind of just like, oh, I would feel good if I buy that, but do I need it kind of thing.
100%. I've definitely been in the shops a couple of times in the last few months and gone, I really want to, but I have X amount of luggage, so no.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I feel good about that because then I don't end up like just owning stuff. And what I do own, I use until it's like completely wrecked. And I feel good. For some reason, I feel good about that.
Nice. Well, do you know what? That kind of leads into a good segue for the next question. So where do you find people get stuck when it comes to digital nomading or the remote life? Is it luggage space or?
Yeah, I think there's a degree of like letting go that people get hung up on. I think initially, I think just the idea of getting started thinking that you need much more going for you than you kind of really do. Like you really only need a handful of clients or even one client. If you're working for a company and they let you go remote, that's a whole different story. But I think people get hung up in what can go wrong and that sort of limiting thinking when it's in reality, a lot of those like worst case scenarios that we come up with don't ever really happen. I can't think of a worst case scenario that I've come up with that's happened. And I think I got stuck up on that sort of thing for a while myself.
No, that's cool. And is there anything you'd maybe do differently on your digital nomad journey if you were starting this year?
I think I still need to improve on this. Is I would put much more emphasis on networking. Like I think you can find a lot more opportunities, not just for work, but like a lot more opportunities to grow as a person and like get better at doing what you're doing and get advice and things like that just by talking to people that are already in your network. And the amount of people that have asked me questions that don't even know me, but like follow me on Instagram or something, I wish I would have reached out with as much confidence as people have reached out to me. And that's still like an ongoing thing. So I would do that differently, and I would still am in the process of working on doing that differently. But that's one thing that I think people underestimate is the power and scale that they have buried inside their own networks.
Yeah, so you mentioned Instagram, but where would you maybe go for top networking? Again, this is like, I feel like it's such a different thing for different people.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've met the most people like in real life between Instagram and LinkedIn.
Interesting, okay.
Which one would I go to? LinkedIn, I guess. Yeah, I think like LinkedIn has been good for me. I'm not as active as I'd like to be there, but the people that I do talk to on there and people that I follow and read their posts, there's stuff that I like. And then I would also just, not just a networking standpoint, but to reconfigure your social networks is a good idea and start sort of, what would be the word? Not crafting. God, I lost the word completely. Like where you were curating, that's what I'm looking for. You're curating your feed, to get stuff that's inspirational to you. Because I was following a lot of things that were like, I didn't realize at the time, but like negative. So a lot of stuff can be done on social that's actually positive. I know social gets a bad rap a lot, which is fair, but there's a lot of good people creating good content that's inspiring and kind of help you overcome certain mindset things, let alone the networking side of it. But
who would your top people go be to watch? Like, as in, who do you go for that you're like, okay, this feels really inspiring for me?
I think someone that a lot of people follow, but like Gary Vee on pretty much any platform. Like he's just like, it's almost nauseatingly positive. Like I'm like, how is this guy genuinely this positive? But like I knew a friend of mine worked at VaynerMedia, worked for him when it was like a much smaller company, and he's like, no, it's like that's not an act. He actually like genuinely that's how he rolls. So like he's the one follow, and a lot of like smaller entrepreneur type people that are putting out that kind of content. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but
I definitely would agree that Gary Vee is a good one for kind of when you're starting out. I feel like his whole approach of just put stuff out, like stop worrying and just kind of dipping your feet into what it is you want to do is definitely a really helpful one. Like there was definitely a period where I bought his his audio book, and I can't remember the name of it now. Oh my gosh, but it's basically his first book, and just hearing him in my in my ears, as it were, was just super helpful to kind of keep me motivated at one point. So I completely agree. He's amazing. One of my favorites is also Stephen Bartlett.
Stephen Bartlett. I should write this down.
So he's English, but his Diary of a CEO, super interesting podcast. Highly recommend giving that one a listen. I kind of liked watching him on YouTube, and I don't normally do this with a lot of podcasts, but watching his podcast on YouTube, because obviously he has the guests live in the studio, and it's a fascinating experience to watch.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I anything that you're there's conversations where people will break down how they do things. There's so much like free, really good knowledge out there that people are just giving away, and to really truly listen to it as opposed to just like letting it go in one ear and out the other. There's a lot of there's free education out there everywhere, and you can curate your feeds to accommodate that, and then use that motivation, what you learn, to apply that to when you meet people and when you want to network. So that to me is like, I'm still in the process of like being comfortable with that. Because it's still like I'm like an extroverted introvert. I think like I like being around people, but I really like not being around people. So I have to like force myself to like go do stuff and meet people, and I do, but then like I need to recharge, you know?
No, that makes total sense. And you're so right. I feel like one thing that definitely comes up on this podcast a lot is that Google and Twitter is so underused in terms of being search engines. Like, and YouTube, like there is almost like nothing you can not YouTube when it comes to starting a business, comes to freelancing, scaling. So yeah, I would have.
That's actually, those are all really good things that I echo that, because so many times, especially when I was doing video, but it applies now to other aspects of what I'm trying to do. I would get hired for something like, I don't know how to do that, and then I have to watch tutorials. There's no excuse really now to not be able to figure something out. And also people are so willing to help.
Yeah.
Just asking people for their insight and input. People are willing to give it generally.
I completely agree. I feel like especially after, it was already kind of a lot of information out there, but I feel like especially after the pandemic, a lot of people had so much time to put stuff down like on the internet to help you kind of do anything at this point. So yeah, there's almost no excuse now, and it's definitely becoming so much more normal as people figure out kind of what they want from their lifestyle and how they want to work now. So if remote living, if remote business, remote working is something that you want to do moving forward, I feel like it's so much more accessible, whether that's through the internet or through people like you mentioned.
Agreed. Fully agreed. And it's getting better. The support systems for all of it are much more robust. For getting to countries, like Croatia has the Digital Nomad Association. I think tons of countries have some equivalent of that now. So not only is there the ability to learn stuff, but when you touch down in some of these places, there's already an infrastructure there in many cases to help you get the ball rolling or keep the ball rolling, so to speak.
Speaking of support systems, just out of curiosity, do you have any support systems for yourself, like any coaches, or like for me, I have an accountability partner?
I heard you say that, and I was kind of jealous. I have one woman that I'm working with for the past few months that's helping me to basically like grow my copywriting business, and she's been great. It's a good experience, and I think I need more of that, either same person or to figure out more specific, because I realize that there's certain things I need that like are accountability is one of them.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, I didn't realize there's so, like, speaking of like when I mentioned there's so many things that are out there to help you, like that's what I've been learning over the past, say, year, maybe a little bit less, is that the whole coaching thing, which I kind of scoffed at in the past because I don't know, felt trite and like who needs that kind of thing, and like these are all swindlers, and I don't know why I thought that, but for some reason I thought that. But after meeting and having friends of mine that I know are coaches, I'm just like, well, this is genuinely helpful. Like it's stuff that you might already intuitively know, but you really need someone to be like, no, listen, you have to go do this. Like you have to do X, Y, Z. And then you have to tell me that you've done it. Accountability, obviously. But yeah, so I'm working with one woman now, and I think I'll continue with someone for various things, to be honest, because it really helps with mindset.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, it's that was for me the hard thing with getting started. One of the hard things was shifting mindset. We kind of talked about it with the roadblocks that people put in front of themselves with thinking they need X, Y, Z to get the ball rolling. But for me, it was mindset. Something I still deal with, like feelings of inadequacy. Am I good enough to do that? Like it helps to have either somebody to talk to or to be, reading books that help you along that process.
No, 100%. We did this on the panel, but I'm going to ask you again because you gave the answer that home is Croatia, which makes total sense. But home is where? Fill in the blank, Steve.
I gotta say Croatia again, right?
No. Because you're not there.
I'm not physically there, but it is my intention is to be back there later this year. So, and I would like to be based there. So, unless something dramatic in life changes, which, life can throw you a curveball, you can end up somewhere else. But that was where I felt best, and I created a nice support system of people there, friends, and it's just nice, like kind of how you described it, getting back. Felt really familiar. That's the same familiarity that I feel like I have with that country and with some of those cities there. So, but also ultimately, it's kind of where it's trite to use that word again. Like, home is where your heart is. If you feel good somewhere, that can really be home. You carry it with you. I think home is a mobile concept.
Not home is where the sunnies are, then.
Well, I mean, that's obvious. Like, if there's no sunnies, then what am I even living? Am I alive anymore?
Oh, funny. Well, Steve, thank you so much. It's been great to chat, and hopefully we'll see you in Tirana.
I am hoping we can do that, and that would be awesome. Share a beverage would be great. And
yes.
Let's. I mean, it's gonna be end of summer, but like it'll be warm there. It'll be.
It's Europe.
Even Toronto's not the beach exactly, but it's.
We'll make it summer. It'll be great. But yeah, thank you. See you soon.
Anyways.
Amazing. All right, chat soon.
All right, bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Remote Life, and thank you, Steve, for taking the time to speak with us. You can find links to his LinkedIn and Instagram below. Thank you so much again for listening, and we can't wait to remote work with you again soon.